no.
Weyauwega-Fremont budget hearing and annual school district meeting to order on Monday, October 27th, 2014 at 8:12 p.m. in the Weyauwega-Fremont Middle School IMC. Introductions. I'm Doug Ehrenberg. I'm the president of the school board. No, just introduce yourself.
Oh, Jim Stebbs, school board.
Debbie Bartle, school board.
Neil Larky, school board.
Sandra Smith, school board.
Kurt Duxbury, school board.
I'd like to thank the community stakeholders for joining us this evening for the 2014 annual meeting. This evening, our school community will have the opportunity to give valued input during our budget presentation and annual meetings resolution. The voice of our public is critical to ensure that appropriate educational opportunities are established to meet the local needs of our greater school community. During the 13-14 school year, the district of Weyauwega-Fremont continued to regularly demonstrate academic success, showing student opportunity and academic engagement challenge students to give their best effort. Again, this year, all schools within our district were at the meet expectations and beyond as set forth by the DPI school report card accountability system. Continued efforts for creating opportunities for all students is and will be a critical focus to meet the need of every child. As a district, we are committed to supporting educational practices that promote academic accountability and student success. Focused on our foundational theme of student success, school board members, administration, teachers, supervisors, paraprofessionals, custodial, transportation, parents, and school community members are creating an environment where student accomplishments are demonstrated on a daily basis. Over the past year, our district has continued to follow through on critical elements developed in recent strategic planning, specifically addressing basic academic skills. The district is in the process of developing a long-range facility and academic assessment plan. Within the study plan, outcomes are desired that will foster academic success for all students. Community input and voice is appreciated in the continued development of our long-range facility plan and educational assessment. As a school community, we must ensure that we are continually meeting the needs of all of our students and families while providing up-to-date resources that will prepare our children for success. Ultimately, the findings from our facility analysis and educational assessment will guide the Board of Education in our decision-making process to ensure that basic academic skills are reached and attained by all. As a district, we are very proud of our valued support staff and educational professionals that ensure academic accountability is met on a daily basis. We are vested into processes that ensure quality. In an ever-changing educational landscape, we must remain focused on retaining, attracting, and developing superiority in stakeholders committed to the district of Weyauwega-Fremont. We are faced with ever-changing economic times. The need for the district to dissect federal and state and local allocations when available is and will be the responsibility of the Board of Education and school community. Maintaining fiscal responsibility and integrity ensures that our financial resources are directed to promote educational opportunities which prompt achievement. Board of Education, students, and employees of our district, thank you, stakeholders of our community that continue to support the efforts and needs of the district. Number 2, election of the chairperson and clerk. Nominations are open for the chairperson of the annual meeting.
Make a motion to make Bob Whitman chairperson.
I'll second that.
Second by Kurt. Are there any nominations for chairperson for the annual meeting? Are there any other nominations for chairperson of the annual meeting? Any other nominations for the chairperson of the annual meeting? Hearing none. Show of hands for a vote on.
First, we need to close. We need to close the nominations, please. I make a motion to close the nominations for the chairperson.
Debbie?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, show your
do it by hand then? Is that what the procedure's gonna be?
Unless it's too cold.
Yeah, okay, let's, all those in favor, Don, raise your hands. Any opposed, I guess you have to ask that. I imagine you do. Okay, any opposed? All right, Don is our clerk. So that took care of that one, right? Mr. Black?
Yep.
Now we're on to, the reading of the minutes from October 28th, 2013 meeting, and here it says usually it has been passed, waived, but are we continuing that then at this point to waive it? Make a
I
motion.
would like to make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes.
And I second it. And do I have to say that 3 times too? All right,
Any
all those,
discussion?
yeah, all those in favor say aye, or raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay. That's carried. Motion's carried. Treasurer's report and audit summary.
Treasurer's report, the beginning Fund 10 balance on July 1, 2013 was $5,539,922.57. Total revenues for the 2013-14 year were $9,482,039.68. Total expenditures for 2013-14 were $8,768,295.14, which includes a transfer to Fund 27. The Fund 10 balance net increase was $713,744.54, which brought an ending Fund 10 balance on June 30th of 2014 to $6,253,667.11. Fund balance designations are non-spendable prepaid expense, $8,234. Committed employee insurance program, $1,071,053.06. Committed maintenance projects, $180,000. And operations, $4,994,380.05. The total, therefore, is the same as the ending Fund 10 balance, $6,253,667.11.
In this case, needs the approval of this, and this is recorded in, she read it. A motion to approve, the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion, Sandy.
Vote second.
All those raise their hand in favor. Any opposed? All right, going on to the number 5 on here, presentation, hearing of the budget. Presentation.
Move up chairs out of the way here. Check the lights. Welcome everyone, and appreciate your time tonight to learn more about our 2014-15 budget and tax levy and what it means locally to our district and to our district stakeholders as we move into our next academic year. Several slides we'll see tonight, which is a similar format which has been presented in past years, which I think is very effective in communicating out the facts of the district and the facts of the district that drive the expenditures, the revenues, and ultimately the expenses brought onto our district. Every year we identify our 3-year rolling average of our student enrollment, and we know that student enrollment is one of the key factors in identifying state aid and support. We can see the 4-year trend as we continue to trend downward from 2013 to 2014 from 885 to 868, and that encompasses our third Friday count that was completed this fall, as well as summer school numbers from this past summer ended up equaling full-time equivalency. We're at 868. So very
very simple terminology, how does one develop the components of the budget? Within your own home, you'll realize that our revenues, or our money's coming in, must equal the expenditures, and that equals your budget, as to what you have to work with in our district. So the school district of Weyauwega-Fremont proposed 2014-15 revenues. Local sources meaning coming from our taxpayers within approximately $4,954,071. Other districts, $364,640, and that is coming in from open enrollment from other sources of students coming into our district. State sources, our aid in which we're anticipating getting in, federal aid which we're anticipating coming in, and then as well other Fund 10 sources, including $41,000. So our projected proposed revenue this year is $9,098,885. Our proposed budget expenses, going back to the budget where our expenditures and revenues equal each other, we're looking to establish a balanced budget, and I will see a balanced budget that is presented. Our instructional costs of $4,382,346 for support services, $3,421,203, and non-programming transactions to support additional programming within our district of $1,295,336, creating a total expenditure of $9,098,885 for the 14-15 school year. And what does this mean as far as our revenue limit? The revenue limit is a set threshold of funds in which the state of Wisconsin establishes for our local districts. We can reflect back several years, and as our enrollments change and as our tax base changes from year to year, our revenue limit changes as well. As you can see, we've been in a decline of revenue, and that's primarily based on our student enrollment numbers as they go down from year to year. This year, our revenue limit, we can see a reduction of $215,345. So what that means to us, last year we had the opportunity to work with $215,000 more locally to carry on education. This year, if we utilize all of our revenue limit, we'll be doing the same job with $215,000 less than.
Less locally, but more state. Yes?
Less overall.
Overall.
The overall picture, we're down 215,000.
Overall. So what does this mean for our costs allotted to educate our pre-approval individual? If you remember a few years back, the state retooled the allocations for funding individual student needs, and we can see from 2012-13 as it's been ratcheting forward on average, okay, and we look at this as an on average per pupil cost, which our district spends approximately $9,200 per student on an annual basis to carry out our educational expectations. So where are revenue sources coming from? From last year to this year, kind of a little anomaly. It's almost identical. Our revenue limit has lessened, but the proportions within and where our funds are coming from, local taxpayers and our state aid and all others anticipated, are exactly the same. Notice that in 14-15, we're looking at 54% of our funds being supported from our local taxpayers, state aid 36%, and then all others, which encompasses federal and programming and other entities that may be specific to our district, approximately 10%. As we go through this on an annual basis, the members that have been here, we learn about our district being a negative tertiary property-rich district. And when you exceed the percentage of more than 50% of your local tax base coming from your taxpayers, you fall into a negative tertiary district. For the past several years, our district has experienced that, and we continue to trend slightly higher than that. And we'll get into that a little bit further because that's a direct correlation to our equalized value in our tax base, in which we've been recognized at from the state. So our general state aid, what does the state give us to carry on education in Weyauwega-Fremont? And you can see that that number as well trends downward from year to year. In 14-15, we're anticipating $3,260,125, and a reduction from the prior year of approximately nearly $62,000. So out of this, we work on establishing a tax levy, and that levy is what we go to our citizens, stakeholders, taxpayers of our community to support public education in Weyauwega-Fremont. Last year, you'll notice that our community supported public education with a tax base of $5,144,868. This year, we're looking at a reduction, and this year we will recommend bringing forward a recommendation to gather $4,866,171 from our local tax levy. And what does this mean as far as equalized property values? As mentioned earlier, the state of Wisconsin will come in and establish the value of our property within our district. And historically, our district has been known as a property-rich district. Those of you very familiar with our area, we've got two great natural resources that make their way through our school district, the Wolf River and Lake Poygan and other lakes within our community. And the recreational land which is valued at an elevated price as well. So we come up with this equalized property value. 2013-14, we saw equalized property value of $591,520,708. So as the markets slightly change, and I think if we're in tune to the news and markets out there, they are trending upward, and this does reflect within our communities as well. Our equalized property value for 14-15 is up slightly to $597,342,342. And I went and double checked that. That is 342. The chances of that happening are slim to none, but it did. That was a typo when we originally put it out there, but it is not. Thus, the property valuation increases this past year from 13-14 to 14-15 of nearly $6 million, or just a little less than 1%. So you can see that our value continues to go upward, and it's nearly a 1% increase in our overall valuation of property increase within our district. So out of this valuation that has established our equalized value, we look at creating a mill rate, and that's what many, all of our taxpaying citizens within our district support to fund public education. 2014-15, we had our tax levy of $4,981,171. And how we come up with the mill rate is we divide the 14-15 equalized property value of that $597,342 by the tax levy, or excuse me, by the tax levy, comes up with a rate of $8.34. So what does that mean from last year to this year? 2013-14, we had a mill rate of $8.69. Okay, this year we're anticipating seeing a local school mill rate reduction, okay, to $8.34. We'll round that up to $8.34. So a difference of 35 cents per thousand of property value. And what's the rationale for a mill rate decrease? And this is actually the same slide as last year, but it says, what's the rationale for mill rate increase? Okay, last year our mill rate went up approximately 2-3%. And the same three variables are the variables that affect whether it goes up and or down. Okay, the decrease in FTE, all right, our student population, the increased property values, and the decrease in the equalization aid in which the state forwards onto us are the three characteristics, the three variables that play into our mill rate decrease. So our mill rate history from prior years, and I have a note here that I want to share in a second here. You can see how the mill rate has gone up and gone down, and depending on when the debt was relieved from our district in 2010-11, you'll notice how it went from 840 down to 791. When our middle school, which we are in, our local tax base went down because we weren't supporting bond referenda. off the middle school. And then you can see the trends as we go forward. Last year, we were at a rate of $8.69 as mentioned. This year, we're anticipating $8.34. And note that this is the rate anticipated to fund schools within your own local taxing agents. That may be different, but as far as funding education and supporting public schools, that's what the person would be contributing at. The one note that I have on sign, the state average for mill rate and where that reflects. I was on the State Department of Public Instruction on last year's 13-14 site. The state average mill rate was $10.36. So we are well below the state average within our mill rate capacity as it reflects within our local district. So what does it mean to our local taxpayer? What will they anticipate contributing to this next year? The media often use the comparisons of an individual of a $100,000 home or $150,000 home and what that would mean to them. Last year, our local taxpayers contributed $869.77 for that on average $100,000 piece of property or home. This year, we're looking at that reduction, as mentioned earlier, of $833.89 on that $100,000 piece of property and or home. So what that means to us is a decrease of approximately 4% from 2013-14 to 2014-15. And as we will continually work forward with the budget, there were comments on budget development to remain the integrity of spend money as wisely as we can with multiple input. Mr. Ehrenberg mentioned on the community input, which is a key element as to how we operate and do business. I'm proud to say that our team in the Duluth District and the board and our stakeholders and community members that support public education are able to generate a quality end result. And that end result is student success. And I think we continually see that on an annual basis. And I encourage the community to continue to support that in the later parts of our board meeting tonight when we look to make a recommendation to adopt the budget for the 14-15 school year. That's all I have. Thank you, Jeremy.
When do you find that out from the state?
The evaluation property,
Yeah.
October 15th is when we receive the equalized property value.
So when do you find out what total money you'll get there from the state, because you said you don't have the final?
The state aid, the equalization aid, and our revenue limit has been set.
Okay. So
The
there's-
state aid, that number that was presented is the number we will get from the
Okay.
state.
I'm sorry if I,
Yeah, they're no longer estimates at this point, that's,
yeah, October 15th, those are the numbers.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We always
Yep.
went to the meeting just here.
Did we expect more from the state a month ago?
It came in a little bit less than what we anticipated, I believe, because our enrollment numbers went down slightly more than what we had anticipated.
yes, we thought it was gonna be higher for the state.
Right. There was a time it was presented to the board that the state was going higher, so our local tax would be lower.
Yes.
And that didn't quite happen as well as we expected.
No, we didn't project our property values to go up as high as they did relative to the average in the state.
Although our local taxpayers are seeing relief in their, the amount we're asking our community this year, there is less funds going towards or being requested from our local taxpayers this year.
My point was a month ago, we expected it to be better.
Yep. Until the 15th, we don't know that number. It's our best guess at that point in time.
Okay. Let's go on then, I imagine, to the resolutions. And resolution A. Is the request here for a motion on salaries to work on, or you want me to read it all, or?
I guess if you wouldn't mind what they earned last year, and then
Okay.
what the individuals would be.
All right, and 2013, 2014 school year, the salaries for the president was $3,000, the clerk was $2,500, the treasurer was $2,500, other members was $2,000. Also, there is in addition, each member shall receive, I guess it was $60, right, in the past, for each committee, no more than $120 per calendar day, it looks, for each committee meeting attended, and as well as reimbursement for any actual and necessary expenses incurred in the performance of duties. So, at this time, I guess we're looking at for a motion for either a raise in the salaries or continue at the present rate. Or the committee meetings, a raise there too also. Or continue there at the same rate. We have a motion. Maybe other here. I know it deals with most times it comes from the community, not from the board members. Because it is a salary and it's one of those things, I know that's not passed.
I make a motion that we keep it the same.
And a motion's been made to continue, is that including committee meetings and also
Yes.
everything that was in 2013, 2014, continue to be the same for 2014, 2015, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, do I have a second on this motion? Ian?
I'll second it.
And then there's a second on this motion. All right, all those in favor, raise your hands. Motion. All those opposed, raise your hand. Motion. All right, motion passed. All right, going on to resolution 7, resolution B, authorize school hot lunch program. In this case, seek a motion that the district provides a hot lunch, breakfast, and morning meal program for the pupils of the school district of Weyauwega-Fremont, and that funds are appropriated for this purpose.
I make such a motion.
All right, in a second,
I'll second it.
is there any further discussion? Okay, at this time then, all those in favor of resolution B, raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Any opposed, raise your hand. Go on to resolution C. Adopt date for annual meeting for 2015. Fourth Monday in October will be October 26, 2015. Again, I seek a motion that the 2015 annual meeting be held on the fourth Monday in October, in October 20, fourth Monday in October, on October 26, 2015.
I'll make a motion for that.
At 7 p.m. and the Board of Education be authorized to modify the date of the meeting. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? I don't think there needs to be on this. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. All right, motion passed. Going to resolution D. Authorize selling of unused and or surplus school equipment, furniture, or supplies no longer needed for school purposes. I see a motion for that the Weyauwega-Fremont Board of Education is authorized to sell unused and or surplus school equipment, furniture, or supplies no longer needed for school purposes. All those, I need a motion first of all.
So moved.
I need a second
I'll
for this
second.
motion. Any further discussion on this? These motions? If not, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand also. All right, motion passed. Again, resolution E, continued contributions, excuse me, to Fund 41. I see a motion to authorize 2014-2015 contribution to Fund 41 for the purpose of financing current and future capital expenditures related to buildings and sites. All money raised through taxation or otherwise collected pursuant to this subsection shall be deposited by the school district treasurer in a segregated fund. Such money shall not be used for any other purpose or be transferred to any other fund except by authorization by a majority of the electors present at a subsequent annual meeting, and only if notice that the issue would be on the agenda was included in the notice of the subsequent annual meeting under S 120.081C. Right,
Make a motion.
motion made, how about a second?
I'll second.
A second made, any further discussion? Discussion, yes.
How much money is that?
That's going into Fund 41?
Yeah.
We contribute $100,000.
Any other discussion, questions? Right, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. Right, motion passed. Resolution F, adopt 2014-2015 tax levy. Seek a motion that there be levied a tax upon all taxable property in the school district of Weyauwega-Fremont for the purpose of operating and maintaining the district's schools, paying salaries, and meeting other necessary expenditures on the basis of the approved 2014-2015 budget in the amount of $866,171 for the general fund. 10, $100,000 designated for the purpose of capital expansion and improvements for Fund 41, and $15,000 designated to support community service initiatives for Fund 80, for a total of $4,981,171. Right? A motion is made by Sandy. Need a
I'll second.
A second by Jim. Now, any further discussion?
There's been discussion at the board level that the 15,000 is above and beyond our taxable amount, and that's not necessary, that our Fund 10 is enough to cover if that's our priority. So by commingling it into one motion, it's difficult to take that out, but is it necessary to go above our taxable ability for that? Is the discussion.
What's the response?
If the community does not want to support the $15,000 above the taxing allocation, it can be recommended to be withheld. We do show a slight budget within the fund balance within Fund 80 to carry on activities this year. Following past practice for the past 2 years, that's the reasoning in where we are at. This primarily supports our STEP program, which brings our seniors into the district to support volunteering, and in return they get a tax break to offset property taxes. And as well, we do designated outreach community activities, primarily with the fitness activities where people come in and take a class and that type of thing has been going on for the past several years. Those are the two main functions that supports.
The question is, if you have enough money to do it, you need to raise the taxes beyond the taxable limit to do that. You could support it with Fund 10, if that was your priority.
But I assume as this resolution is written, this is the board's priority.
If the annual meeting approves this, we will tax the neighbors of the step people to pay the step people. That's how I see it. Where we're already taxing neighbors to support the school, if the school's priority to pay the step people, we just pay it out of those taxes, not additional taxes. The 15 is above and beyond our taxable ability.
But it's within the limits of.
The 15 is not, the 15,000 for the Community Services Fund is not part of Fund 10 right now.
Correct. But
So
it
if you, well, no, not right now, because we have that full Fund 10 already budgeted. We're at our maximum revenue limit, so we don't have 15,000 there to supplement the Fund 80 at this point. That's not part of the budget. Now, if you want to carry that over for the next budget, we can work that into the next budget and take out $15,000 of expenses you don't want to do anymore in Fund 10 to fund Fund 50 or Fund 80 out of there, but that's.
How do I justify to my neighbors that our Fund 10 went up $700,000 this year, and we're taxing them an extra $15,000 to support staff? And that's the question I'm being asked.
One's a recreation department, which is Fund 80 community service, and one is the programs of the school that benefit the students. Fund 80 doesn't necessarily have to benefit the students. It's a community services recreation department that can be used by anybody.
So to me, it looks like something in the future, and at the present time, this looks like what, we're going to be enacting on. So I have a motion here to accept the, anyway, I should ask any further discussion about anything else before. So, all those in the motion here to accept, resolution F, 2014-15, raise your hands. Those opposed, raise your hand. Okay, motion passed. And, okay, we'll go to now the new business this time. With no other new business, I would like, at this time, to thank you to everybody, the board, the staff, everybody who was with the schools, on your dedication, continue it. It's important for our students, important for the district. So continue the good work, and, we'll go into adjourn. So, a motion to be made here to adjourn this time.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.